What if the computer was a beautiful object, something you want to look at and have in your home? And what if, instead of it being in the right hands, it was in everyone's hands?
So Steve's life has already been explored on film, and you've said that this film is inspired by him rather than being a factual record of his life. What do you feel that your story brings to Steve's legacy?
Well, let me just see if I can expand on what you've said, because I wouldn't want anyone thinking that I've made anything up.
Yeah.
Okay? What this movie isn't is what in the US we call a biopic. A biographical picture, which is to say it doesn't have a cradle-to-grave structure where you then land on the greatest hits of the character along the way, you know, where we'd see Steve meeting Woz and, hey, let's go invent something in my garage, and we'll call it the Macintosh, and that kind of thing. We don't see that. What this movie is just 3 scenes, each of them in real time. Real time, of course, means that 40 minutes for you in the audience is the same as 40 minutes for the characters on screen. Each of those 3 scenes takes place backstage in the moments leading up to one of his product launches. And each of those 3 scenes explores the points of friction, the conflicts that he had with 5 different people in his life, including his eldest daughter, Lisa. That structure, that's a writer's conceit. He did not have confrontations with the same 5 people 40 minutes before a product launch 3 times in his life. That's outrageous. The content of those confrontations is real.
I'm sorry?
I said I applied for welfare yesterday. The Time article said your Apple stock was worth $441 million. And I wanted to ask you how you felt about that.
Well, I feel like Apple stock has been dramatically undervalued.
The story is enhanced throughout by use of montages and news bulletins. And I was wondering, do you have to write these in? And where does Danny's influence as a director cross over in this process?
Great question.
Thank you.
Yes, in between the acts, because the first one's 1984, the second one's 1988, and the third one is 1998, 10 years later. In between, we have what we call interstitial material. You're calling them montages, and that's just fine. Meant to, first of all, let the audience take a breath and feel like time has passed. 4 years between the first 2 acts, 10 years between acts 2 and 3. And also fill you in on important information that you need to know, like Steve Jobs was fired from Apple, or Steve Jobs is coming back to Apple, or John Scully has been fired from Apple, that kind of thing. Yes, I write all of that. Danny brings a visual mastery to the whole thing. Whereas what I wrote would be fine if you were just reading it out loud. Danny is I suggest music in the script to it.
Okay.
Danny's throwing images up on the screen that are complementing what I've written. In some cases, what I've written is complementing what he's doing, that he's taken over. But those 2 sections that last about 30, 40 seconds each are. It's sort of the writer taking a rest for a second. Director, would you just do this part for me, and then we'll get back to back to you in Act 2.
I read Steve Jobs as a genius. What do you do?
Musicians play their instruments. I play the orchestra.
I was wondering what you're keen never to compromise on as a writer.
Where I won't compromise is the part that I do by myself, is in the writing. If I'm writing and I come to something and I just, even if it's something small, like I can't make that transition. I don't have the right beat, the right line to get us from here to here. People have said, well, why don't you just write anything and kind of move on? We're just talking about 2 lines or 4 lines. Just get to the next thing. Constitutionally, I just can't do it. And that, listen, what I end up writing may not be very good either, but it's not going to be not good because I thought it's okay to be not good.
You're insubordinate. You make people miserable.
Even if that were true, doesn't sound that diabolical to me.